I recently sailed on the MSC Seashore. I'll tell you about the food and the entertainment. I'll also tell you about my experience as a solo traveler, and I have some tips that could save you some money. Hi, I'm Mike. I retired so I could travel, and this channel is the story of my adventures. Launched in 2020, the Seashore is part of MSC's Seaside-class of ships. Its sister ships are the Seaside, the Seaview, and the Seascape, and while I haven't sailed those ships, my fellow travelers tell me they're quite similar. The Seashore has 2,270 cabins with a capacity of over 5,000 passengers, all served by a crew of 1,500. We sailed from Port Canaveral. MSC describes this as the Orlando port, but Orlando is 50 miles inland. We actually sailed from Cocoa Beach, which is 15 miles south of the Kennedy Space Center and the setting for the 1960s TV show I Dream of Jeannie. We sailed first to Ocean Key. That's MSC's private island in the Bahamas, 60 miles off the coast of Miami. From there, we traveled to Mexico to dock at Costa Maya and Cozumel on a 7-night journey. Boarding a cruise ship is more straightforward than getting on a plane. You'll still have to check any larger luggage, so make sure you take a small bag that includes your passport and anything you'll need that day, because checked baggage can take several hours to get to your cabin. I always travel with a 22-inch roller bag and a backpack so I can take everything on board with me. Once on the ship, MSC allows you to drop off anything you carry on board, even if your room isn't ready. Your cruise cards are attached to your cabin door in a sealed envelope. The staff will make an announcement at about 3 p.m. that the cabins have been cleaned and are ready for you. These are the views from my balcony cabin. I paid for an inside cabin. I'll explain how I got upgraded. In addition to the bed, there was a fold-out sofa so the room could sleep 4. The bathroom was cramped, but MSC springs for shower gel and shampoo, and there's a hairdryer in the room. Your cruise card controls the power in your cabin. So if you need to recharge any devices while you're away from your room, you may want to get an MSC Wristband. The wristband cost me $10. It doesn't have to be recharged and it can be kept for future cruises, but only newer MSC ships have the technology. I always wear a wristwatch, so I found wearing something on both arms a bit silly, but I noticed many passengers doing the same thing. When you first arrive on board, you're greeted with a stunning atrium that's the centerpiece of the boat. The atrium is home to the Seashore Bar, one of 18 lounges on the ship, 12 on the inside, 6 outside. There are 3 formal dining rooms, 6 specialty restaurants that I'll describe later, and the Marketplace Buffet on deck 16 near the top of the ship. Let's start there. I like starting my day watching the sunrise, so I skipped breakfast in the formal restaurant to eat in the buffet. The buffet is huge. It would have taken me weeks to sample everything, even if the menus weren't rotated. Coffee, tea, juice, and water are available in the buffet, even if you don't purchase a drink package. A button at every table connects you to a server who will swipe your card and bring you a soft drink or alcohol. Do the math and decide if any of the drink packages are worth it for you. A can of soda was $3.50 when I sailed, and beer and cocktails were generally $10. Remember that if one person in your cabin buys the drink package, every adult over 21 years of age has to buy the same package. On any cruise, it pays to pay in advance, but usually not immediately. After I turned down MSC's initial offers for drinks, Wi-Fi, spa sessions, specialty dining, and excursions, I found that they generally offered the same packages at a discount a few days later. I can't guarantee that'll happen to you, but I can assure you that the prices are going to go up when you get on board. As soon as you put a down payment on your cruise, download the MSC app and spend some time exploring before you sail. Get familiar with the layout of the ship and decide on any add-on packages. MSC offers 2 Wi-Fi packages. I took the better of the 2 and had very little trouble connecting. YouTube was occasionally difficult to access while at sea, but I was impressed with the speed of my internet connection. Check with your wireless provider before you leave to see what your package includes. If you're unsure, it's best to put your phone in airplane mode, particularly at sea. T-Mobile sent me texts when we arrived in the Bahamas and Mexico telling me there would be no additional fees. They also texted me as we pulled away from the port, reminding me that there would be additional charges. I've taken 2 cruises with MSC, and I've been upgraded from a windowless inside cabin to a balcony cabin both times. Here's the secret. If you select the Bella level, you'll be upgraded to a higher level if there's available space. You can insist on a particular room, but I've been 2 for 2 with upgrades, and other cruisers have told me my experience is not unusual. Some cruisers swear by inside cabins. They say they get the best sleep in a completely dark room when the lights go out, but I prefer the unbelievable views from my balcony cabin. You can also get an ocean view cabin with a window but no balcony. Okay, let's tour the ship. The first 4 decks are for the crew. In addition to the seaside bar, Deck 5 includes guest services and one of the main dining rooms. You'll be assigned a restaurant, a dining time, and a table. The ship is decorated in a motif that evokes New York City, so the restaurant on Deck 5 is called Central Park. Tribeca is on Deck 6 and Fifth Avenue is on Deck 7. The menus are the same in all 3 restaurants, which are open every day for breakfast and dinner and for an extended brunch on sea days. I mentioned that I travel solo. Well, that's a market that MSC caters to. One of my favorite parts about traveling is the many interesting people that I meet. On this cruise, I was seated at dinner with a wonderful group of people, all traveling solo. We traded notes about our adventures every night, and we've remained in touch since the cruise. MSC held a mixer every evening for solo travelers. Now, if you've been afraid to travel solo, don't be. Solo travel is an adventure. You're on a big ship with thousands of people. I've met new people and I've had a great time on solo cruises, and so can you. Decks 6 and 7 begin with the Madison Theater in the front of the ship. A troupe of 12 amazingly talented singers and dancers put on 5 shows, including a Salute to Divas, a Broadway show, and a rock show. They also had a comedian and a magic show on the other nights. Check the app daily and reserve seats as soon as they become available because the shows fill up quickly. Deck 6 includes a mini mall they call Times Square and a chocolate shop. The chocolate shop also sells gelato. I had just returned from Italy when I cruised, and I found the gelato on the ship to be as good as what I had in Venice or Florence. There's a lot of glass and chrome on the seashore, but I was impressed with how the staff seemed to remove fingerprints almost immediately. Deck 7 houses the casino. I'm not a gambler, but I walked through the casino several times and saw it was busy every night. Even during the day, there were a few gamblers at the machines. The funky Boulevard du Cabaret is a psychedelic hallway that leads to La Cabaret Rouge. The cabaret was hosted by the delightful Mecca and ran from 8 to 10 p.m. There was a rock band with 2 vocalists. They traded off with the acrobatic Duo Ducenzo. Karaoke followed the cabaret show at 10 p.m. Oh, and there was this spot where you can have your picture taken as if you were in a hot air balloon. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you click the thumbs up button. New subscribers matter a lot, so I hope you join the Solo Budget Traveler and hit the notifications bell so you'll know when the next videos come out. Deck 8 begins with the spa and the gym. The large gym had high-tech cardio machines that took me a minute to figure out. Despite the quality and quantity of the food, I didn't gain weight on the cruise. First, walking from one end of the ship to the other adds up to more than 800 steps, and the cardio equipment faces this view. To tell you the truth, I get more exercise in a cruise than I ever do at home. Deck 8 also houses several bars and lounges. The sports bar served snacks in addition to drinks and had more TVs than I could count. The Brooklyn Lounge was open all day and played jazz at night. It was a place where many people congregated during the day. It was also a great spot to read a book. The Uptown Lounge near the bow tended to have Latin music. Deck 8 includes most of the specialty restaurants. Other cruisers raved about the Butcher's Cut Steakhouse. There's also a seafood restaurant, a Benihana-like teppanyaki restaurant. That's where chefs dazzle you with their knife skills. A Mexican restaurant, and this sushi restaurant where you take your meals from a conveyor belt. Deck 8 also has a barbershop and a business center. Outside Deck 8, there's an infinity swimming pool with half-submerged loungers and 2 infinity jacuzzis. The infinity bridge lets you look down below your feet. Decks 9 through 16 have passenger cabins. But before we go to the ship's top, let's talk about excursions. Look for my video on Ocean Key, MSC's private island. A tram will take you around the island, or you can easily walk from end to end. Food on the island is delicious and included as part of your cruise. Your drink package is also valid on Ocean Key. We docked at Costa Maya and Cozumel. I love the small shops in Costa Maya. I'm looking forward to returning soon because I only passed through Cozumel on an excursion to Chichén Itzá. Cozumel is an island. A ferry transported us through the extremely choppy waters to the mainland. Six Flags ought to use the ferry as a thrill ride. I enjoyed the ferry, but if you're not sure if you're likely to get seasick, the ferry ride will end all doubt. The Mayan ruins of Chichén Itzá have never been on my bucket list because it's located deep in the jungle in the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula. When I saw an excursion, I jumped at the chance. A modern toll road highway led us from the coast to the ruins, but there were almost no signs or exits. Our guide told us that the land on either side of the highway is privately owned. Back on board Deck 16 of the Seashore, I've already described the buffet, but I didn't mention that they serve pizza until past midnight. I try to eat healthy on a cruise, but MSC's pizza is just too good for me to turn down. Past the buffet is the Magradome, a sliding glass roof you sometimes see at stadiums. The jungle pool, lounge, and beach bar are beneath the Magradome. The salt water in the pool makes it easy to float. The pool and the two jacuzzis are a popular place to relax, so I was disappointed that they closed it at 10 p.m. Heptadacophobia is the fear of 17. It's considered an unlucky number in Greece and Italy. Friday the 17th is deemed particularly unlucky. That's why there's no Deck 17 on the Seashore. Parts of Decks 18 and 19 are set aside for the MSC Yacht Club. That's a luxury ship within a ship. I can't tell you much about the Yacht Club other than it gets rave reviews and is out of my price range. Deck 18 takes us to the top of the ship and the Long Island Pool and Bar. The pool has lounge spaces that extend into the pool and a water fountain. The pool faces a 27.5-foot outdoor screen where they show ball games and movies. There are also 4 round jacuzzis and 2 infinity jacuzzis. Pirates Cove Aqua Park and the entrances to 4 water slides are also on Deck 18. 2 of the water slides are enclosed and 2 are open air. There are 66 steps to the top level. Yes, I counted because even at my age, I went down the water slide more than a half dozen times. One of the slides was particularly wild. I went on it once, and once was enough for me. Deck 18 also includes a large arcade, a babysitting area, and playrooms for various age groups from preschoolers to teens. Deck 19 rises above the Lido deck and includes an adventure trail. That's an outdoor playground with rope courses, net bridges, and crawl-through slides. There's also a court for volleyball and basketball, and entrances to the highest water slides. My cruise on the MSC Seashore was a fun adventure, but there were some negatives. The good news is that MSC is very good about responding to feedback. Veteran cruisers say the food has improved dramatically in the last year or so. MSC sends detailed surveys to cruisers a few days after they leave the ship, so you may find that MSC has corrected some or all of the issues I'm about to describe by the time you cruise. Let me know about any improvements in the comments and I'll update this video to include your thoughts. The most common complaint involves the elevators, but I have a couple of workarounds. Unlike most elevators, you choose your floor before you get on. The elevator then creates an efficient plan to get people to their destination as soon as possible. At least in theory. In practice, when too many people get on, the elevator is set to empty itself before resuming its route. Also, Yacht Club cruisers have priority access to some of the elevators. But here's the trick. There are 2 scenic elevators at the back of the ship. In addition to offering gorgeous views of the deck and the sea, these elevators are not used as often as the main elevators because they only run from Deck 8 and up. I learned to walk up a flight of stairs or 2 from Deck 6 or 7, then take the scenic elevator to my cabin. I also mentioned getting a lot of exercise on the ship. That's because I took the stairs instead of waiting for the elevators. Another issue should be easy to fix. The sound levels on the ships were all over the road. There were talented performers in the atrium, but because the sound was off, you couldn't enjoy the music. Some performers even privately told me they didn't like appearing in the atrium because of the sound issues. The same problem occurred in the Cabaret, where the sound was often distorted because it was louder than the speakers could handle. Finally, the buffet was closed longer and more often than on other ships. By the time the buffet opens at 6:30 in the morning, a crowd of people are waiting. This is inconvenient for people heading to morning excursions at 7. 11. The buffet closes between 11 and noon and again between 4 and 5 p.m. Most cruise buffets remain partially open as they prepare for the next meal, but on the Seashore they completely shut down. That creates an instant rush when they open. On the other hand, the buffet does stay open late. The MSC Seashore offers an incredible experience at an unbelievable value. I sailed for 7 nights for about $500. The drink package cost $300 and the Wi-Fi was $140. The excursion to Chichén Itzá was $160. Incidental spending, including gelatos, came to just under $20 and parking was $145. The total came to a bit under $1,300 or about $180 a day. I could have chosen one of the park and ride lots, but I would have saved less than $35, and I felt the convenience of being able to walk to my car was worth the money. I like my smoothies, but I could have saved some of the $300 I spent on the drink package. Wi-Fi, incidental spending, and excursions were also personal choices. That means I could have cruised for as little as $616 or $83 per day. I keep my eye on 3 websites: cruiseplum.com, cruises.com, and vacationstogo.com every couple of days to see the best deals. The prices fluctuate, but you can find fantastic deals if you're patient and persistent. Cruising is a great way to travel and see the world on a budget, all while being treated to excellent food and entertainment. I hope to see you again soon. Bon voyage!